The empty apartment. When I moved into the new apartment, the landlord warned me about one thing. "The walls are thin," he said. "You'll hear your neighbors." I didn't mind. I'd lived in worse places. The first night was quiet, too quiet. No footsteps, no TV sounds, no doors closing, just silence. On the second night, at exactly 11:42 p.m., I heard a knock. Not on my door, on the wall beside my bed. 3 slow taps. Knock, knock, knock. I froze. Maybe someone dropped something next door. I ignored it. 30 seconds later, 3 more taps, same rhythm. I sat up and tapped back 3 times. Immediately, 3 taps answered. My stomach flipped. I waited. Nothing. I told myself it was just pipes. Old buildings make noises. The next night, 11:42 p.m., 3 taps. This time, I didn't hesitate. I tapped back 3 taps. The reply came faster, almost excited. We did it again. 3 taps from me, 3 from them. It felt childish, like a secret code. On the 4th night, I decided to try something different. At 11:42, 3 taps came. I smiled nervously and tapped 4 times instead. There was a long pause. Then 4 taps answered, perfectly spaced. My chest tightened. That wasn't random. The next night, I tapped twice. 2 taps came back. Whatever was on the other side was copying me. The following evening, before 11:42, I knocked on my neighbor's door. No answer. I knocked again. Still nothing. I asked the landlord the next morning, "Who lives in the unit next to mine?" He frowned. "There is no unit next to yours." I laughed. "Very funny." "I'm serious," he said. "Your apartment is the corner unit. On the other side of that wall is the old elevator shaft. It hasn't worked in 20 years. I felt cold. That night, I told myself I wouldn't respond. 11:42 p.m., 3 taps. I stayed still. 3 taps again, louder. Then 4 taps, 5, 6, faster, impatient, angry. I pressed my pillow over my ears. The tapping stopped. Silence. Relief washed over me. Then, a single knock, right behind me, on the wall at the head of my bed, the wall that faces the hallway. Slowly, carefully, 3 taps sounded from inside my apartment, not in the wall, in the room, directly behind me. Knock, knock, knock. The backup folder. Last month, my laptop crashed, completely froze. Black screen, wouldn't restart. I took it to a repair shop, and the guy said the hard drive was corrupted. "Good thing you had cloud backup," he said. I didn't. At least, I didn't think I did. When I got the laptop back, everything was there. All my photos, my documents, even old school projects. At first, I was relieved. Then I noticed something strange. There was a folder on my desktop called Backup 2. I don't name my folders like that. I opened it. Inside were hundreds of video files, all labeled with dates. Every single date was from the past 3 weeks. I clicked the most recent one. The video opened. It was my bedroom. From the corner near the ceiling, like it was filmed from a tiny camera mounted up high. I live alone. The footage showed me sitting at my desk, scrolling on my phone, exactly what I was doing at that moment. I paused the video, looked around my room. There was no camera, no blinking light, nothing. I laughed nervously. Maybe malware, maybe someone hacked me. But the angle, it wasn't from my laptop camera. It was from above. I played another video. Different day, different clothes, still my room, still that high corner angle. In that video, I was asleep. The timestamp read 3:12 a.m. The video kept playing. At 3:17, the bedroom door slowly opened. I stopped breathing. I live alone. In the video, I was asleep in bed. The door opened wider, but no one walked in. Nothing visible, yet the door moved like someone pushed it. The camera angle didn't move, it just recorded. At 3:18, the blanket on my bed shifted slightly, like something pressed down beside me. I slammed the laptop shut. My heart was pounding. That had to be fake, edited, some sick prank. I opened the laptop again. The backup to folder was gone, deleted. I checked the recycle bin. Empty. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. A message with no text, just a video file. No date, no name. My hands were shaking as I opened it. It was my bedroom, right now. Live. I was sitting on my bed, holding my phone, watching the video. The camera angle was different this time. Lower, closer, like it was standing in the doorway, behind me. And slowly, it started moving closer. The voice in the static. I couldn't sleep, so I turned on the old radio beside my bed. It was one of those vintage ones my grandfather used to keep in his garage. Most stations didn't come in clearly anymore, just music fading in and out, static, whispers of half sentences. Around 3 a.m., I found a frequency that wasn't music. It wasn't talk radio either. It was just static. But beneath the static, there was something else. A rhythm, like breathing. Slow. In. Out. I adjusted the dial carefully. The breathing became clearer. Then I heard a voice. Faint. Can you hear me? I froze. It had to be interference. Someone else's broadcast bleeding through. Please. The voice sounded strained, afraid. I grabbed my phone to record it. As soon as I opened the camera app, the radio went silent. No static, nothing. I closed the app. The static came back instantly. The breathing again. Then, you shouldn't record this. My stomach dropped. I wasn't talking. The room was empty. I whispered, "Who is this?" The breathing stopped. A long pause. Then, "You are." My chest tightened. The voice on the radio. It sounded like me. Not exactly, but close enough. Same tone, same cadence. "Stop messing with me," I said, louder now. The static grew louder, angrier. "You need to listen." The air in my room felt heavy, the kind of silence that presses against your ears. "Listen to what?" I asked. Another pause. Then, very softly, "Don't go to sleep tonight." A chill ran through me. Why? The radio crackled violently. Then the voice whispered, "Because if you fall asleep, I wake up." The lights in my room flickered. My phone screen lit up with a notification. No sender, just a blank message. It said 3:17 a.m. I looked at the clock. 3:16. The radio volume began rising on its own, static screaming through the speaker. "Stay awake," the voice pleaded. My eyelids suddenly felt heavy, like something was pulling me down. The clock changed. 3:17. The radio stopped. Dead silence. The air felt normal again. My body felt light, relieved. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I was just tired. I laughed nervously and lay back down. Within minutes, I drifted off. The next thing I heard was my own voice, very close to my ear, breathing in, out, and whispering, "Thank you." The night shift camera. I started working night security at a small office building downtown. Nothing special. 4 floors, 1 lobby, 12 security cameras. My shift was from midnight to 6 a.m. All I had to do was watch the monitors and log anything unusual. The first week was boring, the second week too. But on the third Friday, at exactly 3:03 a.m., camera 9 turned on by itself. It wasn't motion activated. It only covered the 4th floor hallway, and that floor was empty at night. I leaned closer to the screen. The hallway lights were off, but at the far end of the corridor, someone was standing there. Just a dark shape, too tall, too still. I checked the other monitors. The elevator camera showed nothing. The stairwell camera showed nothing. Only camera 9. I grabbed my radio. "Is anyone on the 4th floor?" Silence. Of course there was silence. I was alone. I told myself it was a trick of the light, a shadow. Then the figure moved. Not walking, just closer, like the video skipped frames. From the end of the hallway to halfway down, my chest tightened. I rewound the footage, but when I replayed it, the hallway was empty. No figure, no movement, just darkness. I let out a nervous breath. Then camera 9 went live again. The figure was closer, now standing directly in front of suite 417, and the door to that suite was slowly opening. I knew for a fact that office was locked. I had checked it earlier. I stared at the monitor as the door opened fully. Darkness inside. The figure stepped in, and the door closed. I jumped up from my chair. There was no way someone was up there. I took the elevator. The ride felt longer than usual. When the doors opened on the 4th floor, the hallway was empty. Completely normal. Lights on, quiet. I walked towards suite 417. The door was closed, locked. I tried the handle anyway. It didn't move. My radio crackled suddenly. A burst of static. Then, a whisper. "Behind you." I turned instantly. The hallway was empty, but every office door along the corridor was now slightly open. All of them at the same time. Cold air brushed past me. I slowly looked back at suite 417. The door was open now, wide. The room inside was dark, but I could see something glowing faintly. A computer monitor. On the screen, a live camera feed. Camera 9. And in the video, I was standing in the hallway, looking at the door. But the version of me on the screen wasn't alone. Something tall was standing directly behind me, close enough to touch. I didn't want to turn around. My reflection in the dark office window showed empty space behind me. But on the screen, it leaned closer, its head tilting slightly, studying me. The whisper came again, not from the radio, from right behind my ear. "You weren't watching the cameras." The hallway lights flickered. Every door slammed shut at once. The sound echoed like a gunshot. I spun around. Nothing there. When I looked back at the monitor, the feed was gone. Just static. My radio buzzed again. This time it was the building manager. "Why did you leave the lobby?" he asked. "I didn't," I said automatically. "You've been sitting at your desk for the past 20 minutes. My blood ran cold. "I'm on the 4th floor," I whispered. There was a pause. "No," he replied slowly. "You're on camera 1. I ran to the elevator. When I got back to the lobby, the monitors were on. Camera 1 showed me sitting at the desk, head tilted slightly, staring directly into the camera, not blinking. I slowly looked toward the desk. It was empty, the chair spinning slightly. I looked back at the screen. the version of me smiled. Then every monitor went black. The lights shut off. And in the darkness, something whispered, "Now we're watching you." The last passenger. I drive for a rideshare company. Mostly airport runs, late-night bar pickups, nothing unusual. One Tuesday, around 2:17 a.m., I got a request. No profile picture, no rating, just a name. Eli. Pickup location, an old bus stop on the edge of town. I almost declined it, but it was slow and the fare was decent. When I pulled up, the street was empty. No cars, no houses nearby. Just the flickering streetlight above the bench. I waited. 30 seconds later, my back door opened. I didn't see anyone approach. The seat dipped slightly, like someone had sat down. "Eli?" I asked. A pause, then a quiet voice. "Yeah." I glanced in the rearview mirror. For a split second, I saw him. Pale, thin, dark hoodie. Then the mirror looked empty again. Probably the lighting, I told myself. "Where to?" I asked. "The address is in the app," he said. His voice sounded distant, not quiet, distant, like he was speaking from the end of a tunnel. I started driving. The address led toward the older part of town. Abandoned factories, closed warehouses, no apartments, no houses. Halfway there, my GPS glitched. The route disappeared, then reappeared with a new destination, further out. "Did you change the address?" I asked. "No." I felt the air inside the car get colder. Not normal AC cold, sharp cold. The kind that makes your fingers stiff. I turned the heat up. It didn't help. In the mirror, I could see him clearly now, staring at me, not blinking. His eyes looked too dark. "You missed the turn," he said softly. "I'm following the GPS." "No," he whispered. "You missed it." The GPS screen went black. My radio turned to static, and every streetlight ahead of us flickered off, one by one, like something was moving alongside the car, turning them off as it passed. My hands tightened on the wheel. "I'm pulling over," I said. "No," he replied instantly. "Keep driving." The car doors locked on their own. I didn't press anything. The dashboard lights dimmed, the speedometer dropped to 0, but we were still moving. Gliding, like the car wasn't touching the road anymore. I slammed the brakes. Nothing. The road ahead wasn't familiar. No markings, no signs, just darkness. Then the car stopped suddenly. The engine died. Silence. My doors unlocked with a loud click. The back seat felt light again. I turned slowly. Empty. Completely empty. No one there. I grabbed my phone. The ride was still active, but the destination field was blank. Passenger name? Unknown. Rating? NA. Trip history? Not found. Then a notification popped up. New ride request. Same pickup location. Same name. Eli. 2:17 a.m. I looked at the clock on my dashboard. 2:16 a.m. It changed. 2:17. My phone buzzed. New ride request. From the bus stop. Behind me, in the darkness, a car door slowly opened. I shouldn't have taken the last train that night. The station was almost empty when I got there. It was 12:18 a.m., and the wind kept pushing trash across the platform like something invisible was running past. The electronic board above flickered, buzzing faintly. Only one train was scheduled. Line 7, last departure, 12:30 a.m. I remember thinking how quiet everything felt. Too quiet. No announcements, no distant rumble of other trains, just the hum of the lights overhead. When the train finally arrived, It didn't screech like they usually do. It just slid into the station. The doors opened. No one got off. I stepped inside. The car was empty. The lights inside were dimmer than normal, flickering slightly. The seats looked older than they should have been, fabric worn thin, metal handles slightly rusted. I sat near the middle. The doors closed behind me with a dull thud. The train started moving. No conductor's voice, no automated announcements, just the low metal hum of wheels against track. After a few minutes, I noticed something strange. We hadn't stopped at the first station. I leaned forward, checking the map above the door. The lights that usually tracked each stop weren't on. The windows were dark. Not city dark, just black, like we were moving through a tunnel with no lights at all. My reflection stared back at me in the glass, but it looked slightly delayed. When I tilted my head, it moved a second too late. I froze. Then I told myself it was the lighting, old train, weird angles. The train slowed suddenly. Finally, it stopped. The doors slid open, but there was no platform outside. Just darkness. Thick, solid black, like the train had stopped in the middle of nothing. The air inside the car felt colder. Then, I heard it. Footsteps. From the next carriage. Slow. Dragging slightly. I stood up. "Hello?" I called. No answer. The footsteps continued, getting closer. One step, pause. Another step. I moved toward the connecting door between cars. It was slightly open. The light in the next carriage flickered. I pushed the door wider. The next car was empty too, but the seats were torn open, foam spilling out. The windows were cracked, and at the far end of the carriage, someone was sitting, back turned to me, wearing a dark jacket. I felt relief for half a second. "Hey," I said, "do you know what's going on?" The person didn't respond, didn't move. I walked closer. Each step felt louder than it should have. When I was only a few seats away, the train lights cut out complete darkness. I couldn't even see my hands. Then, the train lurched forward again. The lights flickered back on. The seat at the end was empty, but the window beside it had writing on it. Condensation from breath. 3 words. "You missed it." My chest tightened. Missed what? The train began to slow again. Another stop. The doors opened. This time I saw something. A platform. Dimly lit, but the station name sign was cracked, half the letters missing. I stepped toward the door, and that's when I saw it. On the platform. Paramedics. Police. Flashing red and blue lights reflecting off something metallic. A crowd standing behind tape, and in the middle of it, a body, covered with a white sheet. Near the edge of a different platform, the digital clock above them read 12:31 a.m., 1 minute after the last train was scheduled to depart. I stepped off the train. No one reacted. No one looked at me. I walked closer, my heart pounding. A police officer pulled the sheet back slightly, just enough for me to see the face. My face. Eyes closed. A dark bruise on my temple, like I'd fallen or been pushed. The officer spoke to someone beside him. Witness said he slipped running for the last train. The wind howled through the station. I turned slowly. The train I'd been on was still there, doors open, waiting. Inside, I saw someone sitting in my seat, watching me. It was me, but pale, expressionless.
The doors began to close. I ran toward them, but my feet felt slow, heavy. The doors shut with a final metallic thud. The train pulled away, disappearing into darkness. And suddenly, the platform lights flickered out. The sirens faded. The station dissolved into shadow. I was alone, standing on a platform that no longer existed. In the distance, I heard the rumble of a train, approaching, again, and I understood. I hadn't taken the last train home. I had become part of it. Now, every night at 12:30, when someone runs for the final departure, they see me sitting inside, watching, waiting, and sometimes, if they miss it, they don't miss it alone.
I took the night shift at Briarwood Storage because it was quiet. Too quiet, actually. The facility sat on the edge of town, behind a dead shopping plaza where half the stores were boarded up. During the day, it looked normal. Rows of metal storage units, security cameras, keypad gate. At night, though, it felt different. The metal doors would creak when the temperature dropped. The wind would slide through the narrow lanes between units and sound like whispering. But it was just wind. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. My shift started at 10 p.m. Lock the front office, check the gate, do 2 patrols before 3 a.m. Easy money. Around midnight, the rain started. Not heavy, just steady enough to tap against the metal roofs and echo through the lot. At 12:42 a.m., the gate alarm buzzed. I frowned. No one had the access code except renters. I checked the monitor. The gate was open, but no car had entered. Just empty road beyond it. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped outside. "Hello?" I called. The rain answered. I walked to the gate. It was fully open. The keypad screen was blank, like someone had unplugged it. I reset it manually and closed the gate. Probably a glitch, I thought. Old wiring. Back in the office, I poured coffee and tried not to think about it. At 1:15 a.m., my radio crackled. Static. Then, a voice. Soft. Unit 37. I froze. We didn't use radios for tenants, and I was the only employee on shift. "Who is this?" I asked. Silence. Then again. Unit 37. The voice sounded close, like it wasn't coming through the radio at all. I checked the rental list. Unit 37 had been empty for months. The renters stopped paying, no contact, no forwarding address. We were supposed to clear it out next week. The rain grew heavier. I don't know why I grabbed the master key. Maybe because ignoring it felt worse. The rows of units stretched into darkness as I walked. My flashlight beam bounced across numbers painted on metal doors. The wind picked up. I stopped at 37. The lock was still there, untouched. I stood there listening. Nothing. Just rain hitting metal. I told myself I was being stupid. I slid the master key into the lock. It turned too easily, like it had already been unlocked. The metal door rattled as I lifted it, slowly. It screeched upward. The unit was empty. Completely empty. Concrete floor, bare walls. No boxes, no furniture, no dust even. Like it had never been rented. I exhaled sharply, almost laughing at myself. Then I noticed something. The floor was wet, not from rain. There were footprints leading from the back wall to where I was standing and stopping, right at my boots. My breath fogged in the air, but it wasn't cold enough for that. The radio crackled again. "Behind you." I didn't want to turn around. Every instinct told me not to, but I did, slowly. The lane between the storage rows was empty, but at the far end,
Under the flickering security light, someone was standing, tall, still. I couldn't see a face, just a silhouette. Rain fell through it, not around it, through it. My flashlight flickered. The radio dropped from my hand. When I looked back at Unit 37, the inside wasn't empty anymore. There was something in the corner, a folding chair, and on it, a security jacket. My jacket, with my name stitched above the pocket. Wet footprints surrounded it. I stumbled backward. "This isn't real," I muttered. The silhouette at the end of the lane tilted its head. Then the security lights went out. All of them. Darkness swallowed the lot. I ran. I don't remember locking the unit. I don't remember closing the gate. I just remember reaching the office and slamming the door behind me. The monitors were on. Every camera showed static, except one. Camera 12. Unit 37. The door was open, and someone was standing inside, wearing a security jacket, facing the camera. The face slowly lifted. It was mine, but the eyes were wrong. Too dark, too empty. The screen flickered, then went black. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. A calm voice spoke. "You abandoned your post." My stomach dropped. "I'm still here," I whispered. A pause. Then, "No," the voice said. "You left at 12:42. That was when the gate alarm first buzzed. The lights in the office flickered, and I remembered. Headlights in the rain, brakes too late, metal folding. Silence. I turned slowly toward the window. The parking lot outside was empty. No car, no rain, just darkness. And in the reflection of the glass, I wasn't alone. Someone stood behind me, wearing my jacket, holding a master key, and whispering, "Unit 37 is ready." I took the overnight shift at the emergency call center because it paid extra. Less traffic, fewer supervisors, mostly drunk calls and false alarms. At least, that's what they told me. The room was dim after midnight, just rows of cubicles glowing blue from computer screens. The air always smelled like burnt coffee and recycled air. By 2 a.m., the calls slowed down. 2:17 a.m. Line 3 lit up. No caller ID. That wasn't unusual. I put on my headset. "Emergency services, what's your location?" Silence. Then breathing. Slow. Shaky. "Hello?" I tried again. A whisper answered. "I don't have much time." My fingers hovered over the keyboard. "Okay, tell me where you are." A pause. Then the caller read out an address. My address. My apartment. I felt my stomach drop. "Sir, what is your emergency?" "They're going to say it was an accident." Cold spread through my chest. "Who is this?" The voice ignored the question. "It's 2:16 right now," he continued. I glanced at the corner of my screen. 2:18 a.m. "No," I said carefully. "It's 2:18. Not for me." The line crackled. "Please tell me what's happening," I said, forcing my voice steady. Another breath. "They're outside." My heart started pounding. "Who's outside?" "You are." The lights above my cubicle flickered. I pulled off one side of the headset and listened. The call center was silent. No one else talking. No keyboards. No coughing. Just quiet. I turned slightly in my chair. The rows behind me were empty. Completely empty. My coworkers' desks were dark. I swallowed. "Sir," I whispered, "what do you mean I'm outside?" The voice grew clearer, closer. "I can see you through the window." "I don't have a window at my station. The call center is in the middle of the building, no exterior walls." "No, you can't," I said. A soft laugh came through the line. I can see you standing in the parking lot. My blood ran cold. I'm not in the parking lot, I said slowly. I'm inside. A pause. Then, not anymore. The monitors in front of me flickered. For a split second my screen went black, and in the reflection, I saw myself standing outside in the rain.
Holding a phone to my ear, I spun around. The room was still empty, dead silent. The caller started speaking faster now. "You left early tonight," he said. "You felt tired. You didn't tell anyone." I shook my head. "That's not true. You never made it home." Something sharp stabbed through my memory. Headlights, wet pavement, a red light. I gripped the edge of my desk. "Who are you?" I demanded. The voice broke slightly. "I'm you." The lights above me shut off, one by one, down the row until only my cubicle was lit. My screen switched to a live security feed. The parking lot outside the building, police lights flashing, an ambulance, and in the middle of it, a car wrapped around a light pole. My car. Paramedics pulling someone from the driver's seat. The timestamp on the footage read 2:16 a.m. The caller whispered, "They're about to say time of death." I couldn't breathe. The feed zoomed in. I saw my own face. Still. Eyes half open. Rain running down the windshield. "Why am I here?" I choked. Silence. Then, "You're still on the line." The audio in my headset changed. I could hear distant sirens, voices, a paramedic speaking. "Pulse is gone." The caller's breathing slowed. "I didn't want to be alone," he said quietly. The office behind me began to darken, the cubicles fading into shadow. "You can hang up," the voice continued, "but then you'll have to go." "Go where?" The screen glitched. The security feed disappeared, replaced with the call interface. Line 3. Call duration 00. No record. No trace. The overhead lights flickered back on. The room was normal again. Other operators were at their desks, typing, talking, like nothing had happened. I looked at the clock. 2:15 a.m. Line 3 lit up. No caller ID. My hands trembled as I answered. "Emergency services. What's your location?" Silence. Then breathing. Slow. Shaky. And I realized the call wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from me, trying to warn myself before 2:16.